One of the worst lies that I hear from these pessimistic, politically bad actors is that both parties are the same. There's no difference between Democrats and Republicans, none at all. And we know that is a lie. And I don't think it's ever been clearer than today during the vote-a-rama that happened in the Senate when we saw Republicans consistently vote to screw over working-class voters as Democrats fought back against them. And what was Donald Trump doing during all of this as his horrible agenda moved through Congress? Making some of the most insane posts you've ever seen with the announcement of a new scam. We are going to get into it all, but I want to start with the Democrats who were fighting back, and I was speaking to them all day in the Senate. One of them that had a lot to say was Senator Cory Booker, and I want to take a look before we get into Trump's insane post. What are the most personally impactful stories you have heard so far? People calling your office that you've read about that clearly your Republican colleagues don't want to listen to you, but you think are so important to talk about in this moment?
We were getting personal with each other before the camera went on. I was telling you about my relationship. You know, as I think about being a parent, and it is a kind of time when you take your heart out of your chest and you make it more vulnerable as it runs about the world. The things that often impact me the most is meeting parents who have these beautiful children who also have a disability, and how upending of their lives it was because of the extraordinary cost. And that we have said as a society that, hey, we should have programs like Medicaid to help with disabled children. And you hear these stories about children that others gave up on or looked down upon who are thriving because they're getting the support they need. Some of them are able to do things that even doctors told them they couldn't do. Their beauty is resounding and inspiring others in this country, and now they're facing this bill that's going to come and slam their family and upend their family, not only the lives of that child, but even the ability of the parent to go out and work to provide for that child could be upended because a transportation program or some of the medical support that they need is going to go. Those stories, I can't help but not see those people who I've met with, whether they came to, when we sat all that time on the Capitol steps, me and Hakeem Jeffries, many of those parents with their children came, or the people that have come to my office or others that I've met.
It is incredibly disappointing to hear those stories and for that not to be as loud in the ears of these Republican senators as a potential Truth Social post. Truth Social from Donald Trump. It's just like, it is almost embarrassing. We have to fight back. I know you got to get to votes.
Yeah, but I just want to say something.
Please, please.
This is the thing.
I'm not going to kick you out.
No, but this is the truth I think about all of us. Somebody once said this to me and I had this aha moment, that we're all the heroes in our own story. Often we'll create these elaborate stories to justify what we do, telling ourselves, no, I'm the hero in this. And so a lot of my Republican colleagues, I listen to what they're saying, and some of them, they seem like they believe what they're saying.
Do you think Josh Hawley, this is a great example, do you think he believes it? He was talking about this is an abomination. When these Medicaid cuts come, this is going to decimate working families. Do you think he believes it?
So I don't try to get, I think I'd get lost if I tried to get in the mind of some of my colleagues, but I know I watch them do these, like, they must do yoga because they twist and contort their bodies, their minds into believing what they're saying. And what I'm saying our job is, as sort of agents of activism, artists of activism even, our job is to shine a light and dispel the delusion of what they may be saying and force them to confront the truth. This big, ugly budget is a betrayal, not only of all Republicans claim to stand for, but quite literally all of the promises that Donald Trump made on the campaign trail about affordability, about making your life easier, about having more freedom of mobility, about having more access to better opportunity. That's not the case anymore because of Donald Trump, and the ripple effects will be huge. We're not just going to see people lose their health care, we're going to see whole healthcare systems shut down. Even if you have private insurance, it will become more expensive because of Donald Trump. More expensive, not less. And all of that is happening, he is trying to make more money and grift more off of the people whose lives are costing more because of him. And you can see that in this insane post right here. And then I want to check out the reaction that me and Senator Warner had to it.
Trump wrote on Truth Social, Trump fragrances are here. They're called Victory 45 through 47 because they're all about winning, strength, and success for men and women. Get yourself a bottle and don't forget get one for your loved ones. Enjoy, have fun, and keep winning. Go to gettrumpfragrances.com.
My new Trump fragrances are here. They make a great Christmas present. I've named them Fight, Fight, Fight because they represent winning. We all want to be winning. We have to win as a nation. We want to win as a family. This fragrance is all about strength and success and confidence for men and for women. Get yourself a bottle and don't forget to grab one for your loved ones too.
Just got some very important and consequential breaking news from Donald Trump that I think I just have to pull up in this moment because just, obviously the president is going to have his mind on, what is this? Trump fragrances are here. They're called Victory 45 and 47 because they're all about winning. Thoughts on that? Are we getting Trump fragrances after this?
I think, if you think about Trump fragrances, Trump education, Trump airlines.
Get the steaks in there too.
Yeah,
the Trump
the Trump steaks. The Trump meme coins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's never been, and I don't think in American history, someone who's stealing so much in plain sight, grifting and graft to a level, and the fact that people are not even, listen, our country's going to get through this, but the fact that this happens and that there's not more outcry is a little bit.
I think part of the doing it in public is this, because they think, if we do it in public, then everyone can see it. It's totally fine.
Well, everybody knew he was a grifter, but what kind of?
That's not a good response to that.
That's not a good response.
Exactly.
And also, does that mean that should be the tenor of folks we're going to hire? I mean,
it's an embarrassing grift.
It's an embarrassing grift, and you're like, I can just imagine you're going to some young person going to say, I'm going to go run for city council, and I'm going to rip off as many city funds as I can, and I'm going to show everybody that. It's just, I think we're better people.
So that's about the most insane thing I've ever seen. We're still doing this. Donald Trump has made billions of dollars, with a B. That is billions of dollars. It's now estimated to be 50% of Donald Trump's net worth currently he has made in liquid cash since entering the presidency, not in 2017, but this year alone. In a handful of months, Donald Trump has been able to grift so much from his meme coin, from his scams, from his Truth Social stock being elevated by bad actors pouring millions of dollars in to curry his favor. He's made billions of dollars. And at the same time, he's making it more difficult for you to live. Really? Are we serious here? That is pathetic. That is a betrayal. And honestly, it's pretty weak and sad. It's sad. It's just what it is. And I think that's the word that comes to mind for me with Republicans right now, is that they're weak and it's embarrassing. And I spoke to someone about that who actually displays toughness and grit and leadership, Senator Tammy Duckworth. Now I want to take a look at what we had to say about this bill and the embarrassment that Republicans are right here.
Well, which is why it's so interesting that Tom Tillis, when he decided he would be opposing this bill, is now saying he's not running for re-election, and thus he can speak his mind, right? And he can vote in the way that he thinks reflects what will best serve his constituents. Kind of wish he had been doing that the whole time.
Me too.
Maybe on Pete Hegseth, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, maybe we could have protected the people of North Carolina there. But of course, he is now speaking in opposition. That's the most important thing that we can do right now. But at the same time, I feel like as we wrestle with where we want to move the Democratic brand going forward, we also can't just think in terms of opposition, but what's aspirational, what we're building, what's better. How do we take this moment to show folks, as we're talking about Donald Trump trying to break government, no, government still actually can work to make your life better. How do we do that?
Well, I'm proposing several things. If they're going to break Medicaid, when we're in charge, we should make Medicaid better. We shouldn't bring it back the way it was.
Exactly.
We should also, one of the things that I've been really working on for a long time, because I started working on this with veterans homelessness, is affordable housing. I have a lot of young people who work for me, and they don't ever aspire to owning a home, not because they don't want to own a home, it's because it's out of their reach. And so we need to come back with better proposals. We should come back not just with Medicaid, we should come back with, hey, Medicare buy-in. Hey, we should come back with a public option on the exchange. We should come back with, again, debt-free college. Not necessarily free college, but you should be able to have a combination of Pell Grants, student loans, work study, and or not necessarily student loans, but Pell Grants, work study, and graduate without debt. So we should come back and say, listen, these guys have broken all of this. We're going to tell you what we're going to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I talked with Senator Murphy about this. People want their work to work for them.
Yes.
They want to make sure that there is dignity in the work that they do, and it could provide them the American dream that we all aspire to. Republicans very clearly don't care about that. But we're hearing a lot of those personal stories right now. And as there is so much in this one big bag of garbage bill, it's how we kind of get lost in the policy minutia. How do you think we need to be presenting the personal stories that I think are so important in communicating that's happening right now, rather than maybe talking about just the giant cuts? How do we tell those personal stories?
Well, I think some of the really good personal stories to talk about is what individuals will lose who are just like you or your neighbor or somebody that you love. When I talk about the fact that they're cutting and stripping Pell Grants. So if you have a young person in college, and by the way, our universities in Illinois said 30% of them will have to shut down entire departments if these Pell Grant cuts go through, probably more than that. Talk about the fact that if you have a grandmother or a grandfather or a great-grandparent living in a nursing home, 60% of those will shut down because they will lose funding. And so really telling the stories of individuals that people can see themselves in and how this moves forward. For me, I talk a lot about veterans, the fact that these cuts are going to really affect veterans. By the way, 200,000 members of the National Guard and Reserves use food stamps, use SNAP. So you're going to have people wearing the uniform of this great nation who are overseas defending us, whose children are going to go hungry. That's what this bill does. And we can't let that happen.
And at the same time, we saw Donald Trump spend tens of millions of dollars to throw himself a parade no one came to.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
embarrassing.
And if you really wanted to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday, which I want to, why didn't you take that $140 million, or I'm sorry, $60 million, and put it into something like college fund for military families, or to pay for school lunches for military families, or how about better housing for military families on military installations?
Well, we talked a lot about that failed parade on my show. My audience was very happy with a lot of the things you said about it. You've given us a lot of hope. I appreciate
you.
your opposition to this regime. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining us, Senator.
Take care.
I was very grateful for the opportunity to go and speak to a handful of senators today about how they are opposing this bill. And I also want to say I'm incredibly grateful to y'all. I wouldn't have these opportunities that I do right now if it wasn't for your support, if it wasn't for y'all tuning in. We got to have an awesome interview with Governor Andy Beshear today. I got to talk to Tammy Duckworth, Tammy Baldwin, Senator Warner, Senator Booker, Senator Murphy off camera, but we're going to get him on the show again soon. Senator Mark Kelly. I got to speak to so many incredible leaders, and I really hope y'all enjoy me bringing more of those interviews. We're going to do as much of them as we possibly can on the show. And if you want to support that more than you already have, because you've already done a lot, and I really do deeply appreciate it. You can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.